The No Nonsense Roundtable, a weekly radio show and podcast where host Dom Geneva interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. And now, here's your host, Dom Geneva.
Well, welcome everybody to our next section of the No Nonsense Roundtable. And I have to give you a disclaimer. This particular fellow that I'm having on the show now is a personal friend of mine. I have known Corrin Strong since 1994, and as luck would have it, today is June 1st, June 1st, 2026, is the anniversary of me starting with Chrysler Corporation, which was June 1st, 1977. That shows how old I am. Before I worked for the company and then moved to Avon and met Corrin Strong. And Corrin Strong, if you are in Livingston County, you know Corrin Strong. If you are not in Livingston County, you probably don't know Corrin Strong. But when I moved to Avon, he was the publisher of a publication called The Clarion. So he is a legitimate, I say media source, and I'll explain that later why you are an accredited media source, and I've been accused of not being. But with that long introduction, how do you introduce yourself now, Corrin?
I'm a YouTuber and Substacker.
Yeah.
Those are my hobbies. But I have about 5 businesses. But I just got to say, has it really been 32 years that we've known each other? That's a long time, Dom. Do the math.
Yeah, you're holding on to more of your hair than I am, which is good. That's a nice decision to make. And I'm wearing hats because my head is cold. My dad, I'll tell you, my dad was on his deathbed and he had his golf hat on. And I was like, oh my God, he's very vain. He's got, he's all sick. He's got a golf hat. I didn't realize until I lost my hair. His head was cold. He wasn't vain. His head was cold.
Well, as you get older, you need the ambient temperature to be higher, like at 1 degree every year.
Yeah.
And I fight the battle of the thermostat with my partner here who, oh, it's too hot. Not for me, it's not.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now let me ask you a question. Can you load the dishwasher properly or not?
It's not my job.
At all. You don't even attempt it, right? I think that's one of the big concerns in people's marriages is how do you load the dishwasher? And there's like three different ways. And
I realize just now that by identifying her as my partner, that people probably thought I was gay, but she's a woman. I'm a school male chauvinist pig, so it's like those are her jobs, clean.
Karin, I've known you for a long time. You've been accused of worse than that.
That's what my brain is.
Oh my God. But we're very good friends and we kind of think the same way. And there's some questions I want to ask you as sort of as a journalist and whatever. But one of the things that I'm doing now is I'm going around to people of import and knowledge and having them go and the section is called in my YouTube on the record. And one of the things that I'm trying to do is kind of direct people to people's opinions about social media and our culture right now and what's happening and whatever. And so far, I have these on the records. The first one was Bob Duffy. And then I had Jeff Tyzik, who is the principal pops conductor of the RPO. I had Adam Bello, who, of course, is the county executive, and let's see who else do I have here? Okay, we have the mayor, we have Duffy, we have the county executive, and Jeff Tyzik so far.
Well,
I want to.
I'm very honored to be in such a august company that you would choose me, and that but I want to correct one thing. You said everyone in Livingston County knows me. I'd say more people know of me than actually know me. They've heard of me and they've heard a lot of stories about me, but personally know me, not so many.
No, there should be another category. Admit that they know you. That's a whole different category. I mean, people that know you and they've dealt with you and they will admit that they owe you, that they know you.
Three categories: people that know me and admit it, people that know me and don't admit it, and then people that don't know me but say they do.
Well, the thing is that you're kind of a no nonsense guy. Seriously, you're a no nonsense guy. You don't pull any punches. I happen to think that you are like one of the happiest people I know. Seriously, you are comfortable in your own skin, and that's admirable. I mean, there's a lot of people that love you. There's some people that don't like you, and it really doesn't matter to you. I don't think I've ever seen you in a bad mood. And the thing is, you say you say what you think, and there's some questions I want to ask you, and maybe they're leading questions, or maybe there's no answer to them. I mean, I have some mysteries about me and my show and whatever, and we'll get into those a little bit later.
You come
Uh,
to the right place then, because I can help you solve all your mysteries. Uh,
let's talk a little bit about what's happening here online. Let's go on this on the record thing. You know, the thing that's bothering me, and what I'm trying to do is maybe show a light on what I call, and I wrote an article for the Rochester Business Journal. It was called not marketing myopia. That was from years ago, but social media myopia. You do something and you don't understand that the import that has later on to other people, and then people getting all verklempt, it's a good Yiddish word, about what you say, and then these false arguments. I mean, the ad hominem uh, argument where you say somebody is wrong because I don't like him, okay, which is Trump derangement syndrome defined, I guess. And
yeah,
then there's the other one, the straw man. The straw man, it's like I had a conversation with somebody a couple of years ago, and it was about a musical performance. And they said, well, how was the musical performance? I said, well, the microphones didn't work. He says, yeah, but how was it? I said, well, the microphones didn't work. He says, well, but how was the show? I go, well, you're telling me I'm going to use the word. Well, you're telling me the show was for shit and then blah, blah, blah. And you should be loyal to me. And wait a minute. The microphones didn't work. You asked me an
yeah.
opinion, and 2 years later, so
Well,
the guy's still pissed off at me, so.
people don't really want the truth.
Right.
They can't handle the truth.
Right. Now there's a YouTube of George Carlin who's really good. I don't know how many minutes it is. Maybe I can play it on this segment. And George Carlin predicts this. He says you start rejecting everybody that has views other than yours, and then you end up in a bubble. And ending up in that bubble, then everybody has to agree with you, or you're not part of that bubble anymore, and they reject you. And I think Bill Maher has really gotten to that point with people, don't you think?
Yeah, and we have a perfect example right here in Geneseo because we have the college, the State University of Geneseo, and all those. I know a lot of those people over the years. I went there, I've lived here. All nice people, but I they don't call it a school for no reason.
Hmm.
Like a school of fish. They all swim and
Yeah.
they move exactly as a group, and no one is allowed to get outside of that school and think differently. And
Hmm.
and I've seen this, for decades now around town here. And that's just one small example, but that happens all across the country and in different types of situations.
Well, there was a fellow that I interviewed that wrote a book, Frederick DeBoer. I talk about this all the time. It says how the elites have eaten the social progress movement, and in that it's been taken the social movement has been taken hostage by a bunch of PhDs, and he's a PhD. He's saying that's exactly the point of it, is that these people with degrees, a lot of education, a lot of liberal ideas, are making the agenda for these social programs, and these social programs are some of them are not exactly serving the people that they should be serving. The
Yeah,
whole thing has changed from years ago, where it was peaceful protests, and now it's been turned into, well, I don't know, sort of an organized thing, right?
violence.
Right.
Encouraging violence. And if you use violent rhetoric, there's a certain number of unbalanced people there that'll say, "Oh, I'll be a hero if I take a shot at Trump or if I kill Charlie or whatever it is."
Hmm.
And they don't seem to realize that there's real consequences to that type of rhetoric. Um, Something else you said I was going to mention, but
No, that's all. We're getting old. You have to give us credit for that. So,
Um,
so the thing is about now you have to get I don't get that many nasty grams because my thing's a no nonsense, round table. So I really don't take any opinions per se. I ask you what your opinion is, and then people yell at me because I asked somebody what their opinion was and I didn't argue with them. Um, like I had David K. Johnson on. Yeah, I mean, he's he was Trump's biographer way um uh a real Trump detractor now, I would say. And somebody,
saw
some,
that interview,
huh?
and I saw that interview, and I made a nasty comment on your YouTube channel about
Was
him.
that you?
It was me.
That was you?
I couldn't
Oh,
stand
oh, you SOB. What the heck? I didn't realize that was you're using pseudonyms now or something, right? No, no,
it.
but the thing is, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're going to close your mind, you're not going to listen to anybody. You're not going to learn anything. Maybe there's a different point of view. I mean, that's the whole idea is that when you start getting to the point where you're not listening to anybody else or you're not having input from anybody else, you insulate yourself. Bob Lonsberry apparently has blocked me from making comments on his posts. I wouldn't do anything nasty. I would say, da da da, do you ever think of this or whatever? And now I can't get in there.
You
I
know,
mean, it's perfectly obvious.
I've known Bob for a very long time, probably longer than you, than I know you.
Yeah.
And at one time when he was writing, remember he was writing for Livingston County News for a while in
Oh
between,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he put a book out of his greatest hits of columns from the DNC,
Uh-huh.
and I was the one who laid out the book for him. But I
Wow.
never talked to him directly. I only talked to him through his wife at that time, Darla, who was a sweet lady, and she
Hmm.
also worked for our newspaper. But I, I would make these suggestions to Darla, and then he would reject them. And this went on, and then finally, at the end, Darla said, "Well, um, I was the other night. Um, Bob asked me how to spell your name, and I said, 'Why did you want my name?' Oh, he wants to mention you in his introduction." And I said, "I'm sorry, Darla, I don't want my name in his book because I don't want people to know that I worked on this book because everything I suggested he rejected.
Yeah.
So no, don't put my name in there." So then, if you ever get all of his old book, he wrote his whole introduction about how no one understands him, and even the guy who laid out the book didn't want to be in. You know, and so I'm the unknown guy, in the first introduction to his book.
Yeah, but Nita does say one thing about him. He does have the inside information for anything that's happening, like police wise in Livingston County and stuff like that. He does have a lot of good contacts, which I don't have. I was accused of somebody just recently. They didn't want to come on the show and they didn't want to have anything to do with me. I was not accredited media. I'm not legitimate media.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what the numbers are now, but on that other radio station I was on, I had 9,000 listeners. I have 10,000 people on my YouTube channel that are subscribers. Actually, it's a little bit of a lie. It's 9,850. Okay. And I have 2,465 people on my new site, which is the Rochester Music Mafia, which is like the Bills Mafia. It's not Mafia Mafia. It's
Right.
for the regular working guys to have some input and whatever. And I'll do a little commercial for myself. That's more people than our seats in the Kodak Center, the Kodak Hall at the Eastman Theater, or the West Hurt Theater. So I got 24. It's a private group, and it's all for musicians to get together with people who are on buying tickets and people buying tickets to get together and find out venues and local musicians. But I
Yeah.
was told by this group that they wouldn't have anything to do with me because it's not legitimate
Well,
media.
you,
I mean, come on.
that wasn't the real reason, but my comment on that
That's the point, though.
But my comment about all that is that's so 20th century, the idea that you have accredited media. And
Yeah,
nowadays you have the citizen journalist, and you are the citizen journalist. I hope to
yeah,
be a citizen journalist. You
yeah.
know, we can command a large audience. Some of my videos, have 10,000 views. That's probably more people than read the DNC when it was
Right,
coming out.
right. You make a really, really, really good point about a citizen. How did you word that?
Citizen journalist.
Citizen journalist. You know what? Okay.
It's like this.
Every once in a while, I claim to be a marketing guy, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So who are your customers? If you're getting 15 million views and they're in Europe, Sri Lanka, they're here, they're not, okay. What does that have to do with Rochester and this particular area? Nothing.
yeah.
Nothing. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The idea that there are journalists that are in a certain distinct marketing area, they call this in marketing a DMA, and you are influencing that particular DMA, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a million irrelevant viewers. You have enough viewers that have some connection with you locally. Isn't that really what your goal is? To engage with people who you're
Well,
actually engaged with, people that are you can be friends on Facebook with somebody, and you're really not their friend.
most of the people I'm friends with Facebook, I've never actually met.
Mm-hmm.
The weird thing about it. It started you put your high school buddies and your family in this, but then over the years you get friend requests from people that you don't know, and you look at their profile and okay, yeah, I'll be your friend, and you never met them. Um, but yeah, I'm getting old now. Uh,
No, but what you're saying about the citizens journalist
oh, I know
is
what to say.
okay. Go ahead.
So, I've kind of flipped from when I had the Lake and Valley Clarion newspaper that was almost exclusively a local audience of
Mm-hmm.
northern Livingston County, and nobody outside of that area would really care very much unless they had grown up here or something.
Correct.
But now I have, the YouTube channels and a Rumble
Mm-hmm.
channel, and so now I have a worldwide presence. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I have a big following in Britain, and because I happen to do music reviews of British artists
Oh, okay.
and other countries all around the world are watching me. So, you know, that's the wonder. I mean, I actually
Yeah.
there's a lot about YouTube that I hate because of the shadow banning that's going on there, and they've given me a hard time
Mm-hmm.
because they don't like my point of view on a lot of things. But the positive side is the reach is you can't deny it. It's the biggest video channel in the world, and you know, um, so people all over the world are tuning in. So that's kind of an amazing thing.
Well, and I guess it happens to do with the different kind of niches you have, because what you're doing, you have a department store and you have different products in that department store that appeal to different people. If you're doing something about, I did that. Somebody gave me an interview and they were mentioning it's a really great 3 minute short Ringo Starr. It's a Ringo Starr story. Okay, so that's got 60, 70,000 views worldwide. Why? Because it's Ringo.
Sure,
But if I do a story about like this week about housing in Rochester and somebody who's building affordable housing using his own money, that of course that's going to be something that's not going to be very popular overseas like Ringo was. But and I guess that's the thing with this whole internet thing. But the thing that worries me too is that it's given voice to the fringes. I mean, the fringes. I mean, the people that, Charlie Kirk gets killed and yeah, and they're out there cheering it. And I mean, it's like, I mean, we have no, we it's like we have no standards
every
anymore.
time someone takes a shot at Trump, the people come out and say, "Oh God, I wish he hadn't missed." You know,
Hmm.
they actively hope that he gets assassinated, which is, this is new in American politics. I think it kind of started with George Bush, maybe the Bush derangement syndrome back 25 years ago.
Hmm.
It's gotten to the point where it's crazy.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Carter. I mean, you think about that. Have you ever cheated? No, I've lusted in my heart. Okay, that's all he said. He lusted in his heart, right? And they vilified him. I mean, you, I
Who
mean, for
hasn't
God's sakes, Richard Nixon looks like a birthday present now. I mean,
Oh,
oh.
I mean, some of the scandals that are being uncovered, that have happened in recent years and are now coming to light, they make Watergate look like a little picnic in the park. I mean, they're so much more pervasive because they have the technology now to create
Oh, yeah.
and censorship on a wide scale.
Well,
Much.
how about this Jill Biden thing? I mean, that's just happened. I just listened to this morning, which is talking to the reporter from the Today Show, and I forgot what the guy's name. He did a really good job, and I thought he was having a stroke, and then the fella shows her introduction to him at the party afterward. She goes, "Oh my God, you did such a great job. You answered every question." And he goes, "Well, that's a really low bar, isn't it?"
eh,
You answered every question. You expect that out of your kindergartner, right? He answered every question.
So, Don, we're living in the age of fifth generation psychological warfare. So
Yes.
what that means is every news story that you see is pretty much fake. I mean, Trump called this fake news. That's what we're
Mhm.
talking. Everybody knows that she didn't really think that he was having a stroke because what do you do if your loved one is having a stroke? You take him to the hospital. You don't
Right.
take him to Waffle House, you know? I mean, I used to drive the ambulance, okay? And we got called out all the time for possible strokes. Well, in an older person, that's a serious diagnosis, and it has to be dealt with as soon as possible. And so we would transport, you know, if a person fell down at the nursing home, immediately assumed it could have been a stroke. Get them to the hospital, start the treatment. In most cases, it wasn't a stroke, but it's such a serious thing and it has to be treated so quickly that you don't mess around with it. Okay, and so the story doesn't hold it.
Well, the other thing, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, okay? I'm sorry, it depends on who it is and whatever. The Hunter Biden laptop. No, nobody could be that stupid. First of all, he's on the board of directors of a Ukrainian energy company, okay? Look, what? That's a coincidence? I mean, come on. It doesn't pass the smell test. And then, oh, nobody could be that stupid that they leave the
Well,
laptop. Yeah, he was that stupid. Oh my
um,
God.
I have it. I have it on very good authority that that laptop was all Russian disinformation. In fact, 50 of the most powerful CIA intelligence operatives in the country all swore that it was Russian disinformation.
That's right.
It must be true, right?
So, I just downloaded today because I want to educate myself more to the fallacy, to logistical logic fallacies. One of them, of course, is the ad hominem. You don't like something because he said it. Just because Trump said something, it can't be good because Trump said it. You could say that the sky is blue, and that Trump, he doesn't. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. And the other one, like I said, the straw man. Then if you say this, then you must feel this. No, that's not necessarily true. And those are the two things that I see people doing. And what when I talked to the mayor, he came up with, or I came up, I don't know how we came to the conclusion that they found a way to monetize discontent. Think
Oh,
about this. Think about this. The media companies, Facebook, Instagram, and everything, they have found a way of making money from making us mad at one another.
yeah. And one thing I think I got from my 18 years in journalism, publishing a newspaper, I have a very good BS detector.
Mm,
And so I pick that straw man stuff up, just like that. Like every time I see it, I call it out,
mm,
because it's really not they're really not making a logical argument. They're setting up this
mm-hmm.
thing that they can knock down,
Right,
but it has no basis with reality. Now,
right.
I remember what I was going to say about the college professors, and I just want to get back to that quickly. Um, they believe a lot of really stupid stuff. Okay. And I always say it takes
Oh, this is classic. This is classic core, and I just love you dearly. Go ahead.
it takes a very highly educated person to believe something that's stupid.
Oh, I got the quote of the day right there.
It's true. They
You
believe
know,
that no person with common sense could ever believe. But the trick that the media is doing is they want you to believe that that tiny minority of, progressive people that hold these crazy views, like it's maybe 10% of the or
Mhm.
15% of the population, they want you to believe that's 85% of the population,
Mhm.
and they have a lot of success selling that. That's called moving the Overton window. You
Yeah.
you get people to accept something that's absurd on its face.
Okay. So here's the thing. If you want to frame this, if you want to frame this Republican Democrat thing, is that is that so Trump supposedly, allegedly is a rapist, a pedophile, a cheat, a liar, a terrible human being, all of this stuff. The most miserable man that walked on the face of the earth, yet you lost to him. How bad is your guy or your message that you lost to that? And that's the thing. This Jill Biden thing this morning, it's like, well, he was really okay, and there was no indication that he wasn't, And then the Kamala Harris. One of the things about the Kamala Harris, and I'll say, my personal opinion, they should have had a convention for that. I mean, she was appointed to be a vice president, and would she have survived that convention? I don't know, but
We
things worked out the way they did.
we just hope that she'll run again. Because I don't know anybody that's more incompetent and cannot even hardly complete a sentence.
Hey, answer this question for you. This is a theoretical, philosophical question, whatever. And you identify as Republican, or just like
I was
wildly independent, or what?
I was a Republican for many years. I actually served on the state Republican committee for a while, and that was all fun. But there's so many rhinos in the party these days.
Ah, yeah.
It's hard to identify. I'm much more conservative than the establishment Republicans who can't even pass the SAFE Act and give us, good elections. What's with that?
Well, why can't I get Republicans on my show? I mean, I just mentioned these, like the mayor comes on, the county executive comes on. I can't get Republicans on the show. I invite them and they don't come on the show.
I have no idea what that's about.
I have no idea what it is either. Because I don't grind people. I mean, yeah, come on the show. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to put that out there in case somebody who is thinking that I have some type of bias. I don't have any bias. My bias is against them all. I think the thing is that I think the founding fathers, and I can't speak for them, and I'm not a well-educated fella. I think that the whole Constitution was based upon, and Declaration of Independence, is that there was a common sense. There was a common, Thomas Paine wrote the book Common Sense. There's a common sense of a shared value that would prevail when you are electing somebody to office. We all believe in such this or the, and then it's been so bastardized now, and you have these guys that are in Congress for 100 years, and they're incompetent, and they don't want to be giving up their power, and it's just become a big game. It's just become a big game. And what Adam Bellow said something. Adam Bellow said something that was really revealing, and that's on the short that I did with him. He said, I was trying to convince somebody that I thought would be good in politics to come and run for office. He says, I'm talking to him, talking to him, talking to him. He said, his wife said to him, the fella's wife said to him, with all that's going on, and the vitriol and the danger and the physical threats and whatever, she goes, do we really want to live like the Bellows? He said, it was a gut punch. He says, so it was a gut punch. Do we really want to live like the Bellows? And
Right.
you got to get, I don't care what side of the aisle you on. Um, Bob Duffy says, if you tick off a politician, they have a 30-year memory. He goes, he says, I get talked about all the time that I'm not vocal enough. He says, I'm not vocal on purpose. He says, I'll do things behind the scenes.
Let me
So,
just get back to your constitutional,
mm,
because the one thing that the Constitution, which is different from everything that came before, and that's why they're
Mm.
having so much trouble in Europe and around the world, was that Thomas Jefferson, said it in the Declaration of Independence, our rights come from God.
Right.
They're inalienable. That means you can't make any laws to take away our rights because they belong to us. And that was the whole philosophy of the government, is the government can do certain things, but the Bill of Rights say, here's the things you cannot do. You
Hmm.
cannot regulate free speech. You cannot regulate religion. You cannot infringe our right to bear arms. You cannot invade our homes, without a warrant. All these things that are inalienable, that the government should never be allowed to do. And that's different from every other system practically around the world where
Hmm.
they think the government is sovereign and not God, and that the government can do whatever it wants. And unfortunately, in our country, there's a lot of people that, subscribe to that view, and they would like to get rid of the Constitution and make the government all powerful, and we have to resist that.
Well, and one of the things it says shall not infringe. What is it? Not infringe on your right to practice your religion or establish a religion like they have in England. Of course, that's a big deal.
Yeah, we have religious freedom, if we don't lose it.
Yeah, if we don't lose it.
I mean,
Uh,
we came close during the pandemic of losing freedom of speech in a lot of ways because the government was bribing media companies and social media companies to suppress speech, and so, the government can't directly suppress speech, but if they spend their money bribing private
mhm.
people, what's the difference?
Yep, yep. So, what is your I- I'm going to give you some last words here. Well, not
Well,
last words because you're not going to die today. You don't know how old you are. I have this philosophy. You don't know how old you. I am trying to live. I'm pretending I'm going to live forever. I'm only going to be wrong one day. Okay, so I look at every day like a great day. But you don't know how old you are. You know why you don't know how old you are?
why?
Because if you die today, you're 100% old.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You have no idea how much time you have left. So a beautiful day like today, it's sunny out. It's not snowing, which is a very low standard for me. But then again, you know, I live my life by having low standards and surpassing them. So,
Well, I'm 75, and I know my limitations are increasing. I can only work so many
mm,
hours a day. My mind is not what it was as far as, remembering things, remembering people's names, remembering words. The wrong words come out when I'm talking sometimes.
mm,
So yeah, I'm very aware of my body is running down, at
mm.
75.
You-
I have
you- your mouth is working fine.
as long as I can keep playing tennis and croquet though, I'm going to be a happy guy.
You should come over to my tennis court. Nobody ever uses it, for God's sakes.
You have a hard court, but I have a hard true court. And if
Ah,
well, one thing I would tell everybody, come to Geneseo, join our club. I'll let you play free for the month of June, as much as you want on our Hard True tennis court. And then we'll give you a good rate for the rest of the year because we need more players. Most of our guys are 60s and 70s, and one guy is playing at 86. But we need some young blood. We need some younger guys to be playing tennis with us. Of course, we'll beat.
now, no, go ahead.
Well, one of the things I say about tennis is that old age and treachery will always overcome youth and inexperience. One more note, Dom.
What?
You might not have recognized my comment on YouTube because it comes up not in my personal name, but it comes up in the name of my channel, which is the Clarion Call. So you might not
Ah,
have made the connection. Who is that asshole? Or can you say that on your blog? Who
no,
is?
no, but yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine.
Oh,
I heard you were Carlos Danger. I heard that was you. Was that you or
no.
that wasn't you? That
Well,
was what? That was Anthony Weiner, right? That
yeah.
was
Now you talk about laptops. I'm hearing that the Anthony Weiner laptop, it was so bad that grown, hardened New York City policemen were like totally sickened by it. Some of them
mm.
on that, and that was the thing that was they were going to release. The things they were going to release if Hillary got in big trouble. That was their that was their blackmail that they had on everybody. but that one got buried pretty well. They're not calling for the release of that as much as the Epstein stuff, but that stuff's totally even worse. It get,
Yep. So let's give everybody a little bit of a way to get a hold of you or your website, or your Substack, and all this other stuff. I don't have any ads on this show. I pay for the ads myself, so we don't do any formal advertising. But when I have a guest on, I'll let you do a little retail. So why don't you give us a little bit of
well,
how to
so
get in touch with Corrin or whatever?
yeah, so I had the Clarion newspaper for many years,
Hmm.
and that went out of business in 2007. But I've kept that Clarion name alive. My YouTube channel is the Clarion Call. My Substack is Corin's Clarion Call. I recently branched out into turning my Substacks into podcasts.
Hmm.
So the Clarion Call podcast. So if you just look up Clarion Call, on any of those media, you're probably going to find me.
All right. Well, you're a good friend. Maybe we'll go to lunch later. You want to go to lunch?
It's possible.
So, Corin, thank you. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for your advice and
Was I pithy
your
enough?
work. Huh?
Was I pithy enough?
That's for other people to
Pithy.
judge. It's
Okay.
it's other people that can judge if
Did I
it's
meet
pithy
your
or not.
standards of pithiness?
Yes, I enjoy your company immensely.
Okay,
Um,
my job then.
this probably won't make it into the show, but my favorite memory of you, of all things, is that at St. Agnes School, when we were having that ride and drive. No,
I,
you're laughing. So this is going to make it in the show. Okay. You're laughing
I'm
about this. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're having this ride and drive where we would donate like $10 for everybody who drove this minivan around the block, came back and did a survey. And we have this line of people waiting for this deal to raise money for St. Agnes School. And Corin comes over with what we would call, again, his significant other, end quote, and takes the car and brings it to Tom Wall's and has lunch. And there's a line of people waiting for this car. It's like, what happened? Do we need
well,
to call? Do we need to call the sheriff? Is it missing persons? What? No, I went to lunch.
you can laugh about it now, right, Tom?
No, I was laughing about it then because sometimes everybody has their thing. Sometimes you are oblivious, not in a bad way, not in a mean way. Sometimes you're oblivious to like maybe the person's you're talking about before, like the person choking. The person's choking. It's like, oh, isn't that a funny sound coming out of his mouth? It's just Oh my God, you're just wonderful. But it's nothing malicious. You are not a malicious person. You are not a mean person. Not one little bit. You
Well,
are, you know,
you say it.
in the world of animals, you're like a golden retriever. You just
I,
you're not a Rottweiler. You're just a good
what
guy.
I usually say is deep down, I'm really just a grizzly bear.
I'm a raccoon. You know the raccoon story?
No.
So no, the raccoon story. So I go to Monroe Muffler here in Avon, and I'm dressed in, it looks like I was out in the field. And the gal behind the counter goes to me. She goes, "Oh, are you the raccoon man?" I go, "What do you mean? I'm not the raccoon man." She goes, "You're here to capture the raccoon, right?" I'm not here to capture the raccoon. And she's horrified. She's like, "Oh my God, I didn't mean to offend you." I go, "No, no, it's not offensive at all. I mean, the
Compliment.
I mean, if you take a look at Phil Saunders, Phil Saunders is worth I don't know how much money, but the School of Business is the Saunders School of Business, and and when he would come to the dealership, he's in his jeans and sweatshirt and whatever, just a regular guy, raccoon man. He's a raccoon man. So Gene Cornish, hearing the story, now calls me Raccoon Man. And my sister was on her deathbed. He calls up my sister. He says, "Hey, Raccoon sister, how you doing? You feel better today?" And so I'm the raccoon. I'm the Raccoon Man. I am proudly the Raccoon Man. So everybody, that's our conversation with the great pithy Corrin Strong, strongly independent fella that everybody in Livingston County knows, even if they've only been around for a short time. He's been Well, the Strong family has a long storied history in Livingston County, and we'll talk about that some other time. She'll have to cut that out because I just fucked that up. Okay.
One story about that. My partner, is occasionally going out on job interviews, and as soon as she mentions that, she's living with me, and immediately they're like, "Oh well, thanks for coming in."
You know, you
That's
know,
the way he tells the story. I don't know. I'm
look, Corey, you are, you know, I said it before and I'll say it again. You are ultimately a well-intentioned, likable fella who says what he thinks. And sometimes people are not going to be real happy with that, but you are your own person. And I really do think that you're the happiest person that I know. And you said at the beginning of the show that you don't get depressed. God bless you. You have a gift. You
knock
have
on
you have a gift.
knock on wood. Um, I I think of things to say and then they go right out of my mind.
Yes, yes, that's our age. You walk into a room and you forget
Why
why
did
you walked into the room.
why did I come in here?
Yes, yes.
Where? What day is it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. When you get to the point where you look at something and you go, "What the hell is that?" and you go, "Oh yeah, those are eyeglasses." Then you know you got a problem. Well, Corey, thank you for being on the show. We have more comments and show here than we can possibly put on the radio, but we will put this on YouTube if nothing else. And let's help maybe some of those people in England that like your
Yeah, I might have to put
reviews.
an edited version of this on my YouTube channel.
Thanks, buddy.
Talk to you later, buddy.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find our previous shows at nononsenseroundtable.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.